Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we are taking a very quick moment to get in some positive reflections for this morning. And so we're shifting into our eye opener for today. Our eye opener is taken from dailyom.com, and it goes like this. There is a perceptible energetic shift that takes place when we choose to see the good in all. Our perception shapes the lives we lead, because the universe adjusts itself almost instantly to our expectations. When we look for negativity, we are bound to come across it in abundance. Conversely, we create positive energy when we endeavor to see the goodness around us. As easy as it is to criticize the people and situations that frustrate or hurt us, we do ourselves a disservice in the process. It is important to see the good in all, as there are blessings hiding in every aspect of our outer world reality, and the potential for grace exists in all human beings. When our lives are flooded with challenges, grief, and pain, we may be tempted to believe that some individuals or incidents are simply bad. But if we look for the good in all, good reveals itself to us, easing our doubts and reminding us that the universe is a place of balance. And there you have it. That is our eye-opener for this morning.
That was a soothing eye-opener, and it transitions us right into our next guests who have joined us this morning. We have with us Silverio Marin, who is the Interim Administrator at the Belize Marketing and Development Corporation. We also have with us Howe, who is the Extension Officer at the Ministry of Agriculture. And we also have joining us Ricardo Thompson, who's the Principal Agriculture Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we have coming up the National Biannual Honey Symposium and Expo.
That is right.
How did this start, and what is it?
Well, the Honey Symposium and Expo, I should say, it's a beekeeping symposium and expo. It started 2 years ago by the cooperative in Howe. They had the first symposium where they brought about different stakeholders in the beekeeping industry, and they discussed the challenges that they had initially in trying to move the industry forward. It was a very good session, and 2 years after, here we are organizing the second biannual symposium, where we are going to be sharing with the general public the accomplishments that we've attained, and we're also going to be sharing with the beekeeping stakeholders the strategic plan that we have developed over these 2 years.
Nice.
Let's talk about this industry itself, though. We all love honey, and it's locally produced, and we have what would be very expensive on international shelves, the all-organic, natural honey available at our fingertips. So it means that there are quite a few people who are involved in this industry. How big is it?
Indeed. So, super.
The honey industry, if you look at the history,
Yeah.
you would be able to see that it was actually a very viable industry in the past. In the 1980s, we used to export honey to several parts of the world. We used to export to Europe, to Saudi Arabia, to the US, to Canada, to several countries. We were producing over 1,000 barrels of honey each year.
Wow.
And now we are producing 7 times less that amount.
Are we still exporting?
No, we're no longer exporting. Yes, the industry has faced some challenges that have brought down the production of honey.
What are those challenges?
Maybe I could just jump in. As Mr. Marin rightly said, the industry was booming during the 80s. But at the end of the 80s, we have the introduction of the Africanized bees coming into Belize, that came into industry, which really affected the status of the industry. Being that our beekeepers are not ready to cope with this type of bees, So management played an important role into the downfall of the industry. So we are not ready for that now. But then, since then, ministry has been trying to do capacity building for these producers to try to cope with the management of bees. But then again, since this came in, this organization of beekeepers has been a problem. We don't have organized group anymore. So that's a challenge now. So what ministry is working towards that as well.
Yeah, but looking on the positive side, it is an industry, it's an industry that has a lot of potential. And as she quite rightly said, that there's a demand for honey in the market, both locally and for the export. The thing is that times are not the same like in the 1980s. It's different now. We're talking about standards, we're talking about quality, and all these things, labeling, packaging. And so these are the things that in the new strategy that we're talking about has to be taken into consideration.
Yeah. Are we meeting the local demand for honey?
No. Currently, there are some studies that show that we are producing only about 50% of what is demanded locally. And then you might ask yourself, well, where does the other 50% come from? We have adulterated honey, we have honey that is being contrabanded, illegally imported into the country, that is then taking the space that the demand is creating.
And adulterated as in they water it down? Or?
They water it down or they add sugar to it.
Okay.
So those are things that are happening in the industry now, but we see the potential of growth there by the local producers.
This must be, this is an exciting time because honey is becoming, a lot of people are becoming more health conscious. They're looking for natural sources of whatever they're using. So internationally, people are using honey in their coffee. They're using it for cooking. And they all want what we have, which is something that is unrefined as their actual
They're
product.
looking for a wholesome product.
Yes.
And we are able to offer that.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that we've been facing with the beekeepers is for them to be able to understand that it is not only about producing honey, but it is producing honey following certain standards. It is very important for us to follow the right standards, for us to have a traceability system in place for us to be able to track the production of honey, so that we are then able to guarantee to the consumer that what they are purchasing is indeed a quality-based product.
So it is boiling down to quality standards, and we've seen this in quite a bit of the products that have been trying to get into the export market. They do it well enough for the Belize market, but there are very, very high standards once you want to go outside the country, which usually requires quite a bit of money.
Yes,
is that
indeed.
where we're seeing the struggle?
Yes, and the plan that we've developed actually looks at all those challenges. Currently, as Mr. Howe mentioned, the ministry has been focused on strengthening the production and strengthening the capacity of the beekeepers to be able to produce. So now we are at a level that there is the production capacity, but there are other challenges within the industry. There is the legal aspect, there is the financial aspect, the access to inputs and supplies. There's also the challenge in terms of marketing. And so what we do with this plan that has been developed is that we bring all the challenges together, and we've developed a strategy to try to actually move the industry forward, tackling all those challenges as we go along.
Could you put some context to this for us in terms of, we've been having these challenges, we were in boom in the 80s, and we are where we are now, making significant strides forward to try to get back to where we were. But is it unique to us in Belize? How has the region been in terms of their honey production and where they are?
Well, from what we know is that the Africanized bees had the same impact all over the region. And so other countries have been more resilient to the effects, so they've been able to get back on their feet much quicker than we have. And that is simply because they have strategized their approach to dealing with the challenges. And so now we are at the stage that we've learned from what we have in the region. Certainly there are other challenges that have come about. For example, there is the pest and disease that are now different from in the 1980s. There's the issue of climate change that is different.
Yeah.
And so now the strategy that we've developed looks at all those current issues, and we have developed a plan to tackle them.
Maybe I missed it, but could you explain to me why the Africanized bees have negatively affected us?
One, the Africanized bees are actually a little more, the word is defensive,
Okay.
but they are more productive. And
Oh.
so the management of Africanized bees has to be actually learned. And at the time in the 80s, around 86, when actually they came in 87, there was not much technical information about the
Okay.
Africanized. And so people saw them more as aggressive, and it's more a defensive type of bees. And so we need to know the management aspect of it. But now we see that that kind of information is actually being made available to beekeepers, and beekeepers are becoming more they understand more the behavior of the bees and how to manage it. No?
Yeah, you got to know
Yes.
your animal, the beast
Yes.
you're working with, right?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Is there a
Indeed.
growing interest in people wanting to move into honey production?
And that is precisely why I wanted to jump in
Yeah.
that in the ministry we talk about diversification, no? And very importantly, we are looking for enterprises, commodities, and things like that we can actually promote, but promote that has an economic and sustainable future. But again, it also has to be eco-friendly and in the environment. And we see that bees actually, or beekeeping actually meets that kind of criteria because it has a very low footprint in the environment. In fact, it is actually enhancing because
Yeah.
it pollinates fruit trees, it pollinates vegetables, etc., etc. And so it is a win-win situation. But I wanted to plug in here that beekeeping is not only honey. We have to look at the whole spectrum. And the spectrum is that at different points in the spectrum, people can actually be a participant, a stakeholder. For example, a beekeeper needs boxes. So somebody can produce the boxes and sell them.
Entire industry.
It's an industry. Beekeepers need actually frames which made of wax. And for that, you get a box and you make the frames. Somebody can actually do that and sell them, which actually allows the opportunity for women and youth and other people to actually participate in the entire value chain.
But that's also a spin-off
Yes.
product too, beeswax, which is also,
Yes,
again,
yes.
becoming a very popular
And,
product.
and then
Yes.
for the entrepreneurs, they have the aspect of value addition.
Yeah.
In the case of they do cosmetics and they do
Yeah.
in Spanish maquillages and things
Yeah.
like that, and which is actually an opportunity to open new market opportunities, niche market. And very importantly, is that we talk about export, but the market comes to our shores. I think on an annual basis we get over 1 million tourists here. If we could package honey in a little very attractive level and actually have it for them, that in
Yeah.
itself is an opportunity right there.
That's a great idea. You know, everybody has their own unique product.
Tourism
Yes.
approach, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like how you get
So-
vanilla from Mexico.
Yes.
Right.
It's, maybe you get your honey from Belize.
Exactly.
So, I mean, even I want to start beekeeping from what you're saying.
And precisely, and that is where the training aspect of it
Yeah.
and knowing what beekeeping is all about is very important.
Yeah.
And part of the strategy is actually for the ministry to even increase its actually technical support to beekeepers
Yeah.
and have a unit to be able to actually provide that field technical support,
Yeah.
monitoring, and ensuring that we are doing things the right way.
Now, if you're going to talk about quality standards, is there perhaps a cooperative approach that could be taken, that there is some facility where the processing takes place that will meet the ISO standards instead of having individual farmers take on this expense?
That is where we come in
Yeah.
in terms of the marketing entity.
Yeah.
Essentially, we would want that the private sector would do it,
Mm-hmm.
but since the industry is not up and running as yet, we have taken on that role. So currently we've opened a buying center in Orange Walk, and so we're purchasing honey from the local producers from the north. That buying center serves Belize District, Orange Walk, and Corozal districts. And what we do there is that we purchase the honey that is produced, and we then package it into the different presentations that we have, and we then do the marketing for the beekeepers.
No. To move from where we are to get back to where we were and to surpass that, we're going to need initiatives and a strategic plan for the long term. Where are we on those two things in terms of other initiatives, and what is the strategic plan? Has it been put together for us to get back and surpass where we were?
Yes, precisely. The reason for the symposium is actually to launch the strategic plan. We have developed a 5-year plan for us to then be able to create the enhancing environment for the development of the industry.
Now,
I just want to jump in here because I think I'm hearing this conversation, and if I'm a viewer at home, one of the things we know is that we have an issue with unemployment, and there are a lot of people who need work, who need to make money, and this is an opportunity. You're saying we're meeting 50% of what Belizeans use in the country, so we can still produce 50% more just for local consumption, if we control the contraband and the other stuff, and then once we've hit that, even be able to move beyond Belize's market. So if someone's at home and they're thinking, man, I might need to make this my job, what are the challenges and requirements and startup? And you know, how do you get that information beyond just those who are already in the industry?
Interesting and very good question. I mean, the idea is actually for employment and giving opportunities, especially for rural communities.
Yeah.
What I can say is that on the part of the ministry, we have a project presently, a project which is through the Curriculum Development Fund, and that is going to be giving support both in the area of training, because training is very important, and also the aspect of supporting the organization, the marketing, and all those things like that go along with the beekeeping industry, you know. And that is only a part. And then there is a second project which is going to be even much longer, and that is called the IFAD Breed Resilience Project, which has a large component there of support beekeeping if it actually is a viable venture, no? So opportunities lie there, but the crux of the matter is the knowledge and training of a beekeeper.
You want them to be trained before they venture in.
Yes, because you need to know how to manage and to manage it in a way that is sustainable and that you are actually going to actually make money out of it. It's not a hobby, it's actually an economic venture that you're getting into now. Right. And secondly, I wanted to just plug in this, is that Belize, I hope I have my figures right, at least 60% of the country is forested. And bees actually need nectars and need pollen, etc., etc. And so that actually offers an opportunity to have some synergy with the forestry department to be able to access these resources in a way that is actually a win-win for the stakeholders, and get something from the forest, in addition to just logging, etc., etc. No, so that is actually something that we want to pursue, and part of the strategy is actually how to actually strengthen that kind of collaboration and cooperation, understanding, liaising with the forestry department, and even with other forest reserves that are actually available. Yes.
You want to tell?
I just want to add in something. I think when you talk about the youths into the industry, I think it's very important. We watch the statistics right now regards to what we have presently in the industry. Our population of beekeepers are aging. They are older. So we need to involve youth into this industry so that this industry could be for the future. No? So
what is the population of beekeepers?
Right now, presently, we stand about 125 beekeepers at the national level. No?
125.
Yes,
compared to the country.
The question I had was,
so there's the opportunity.
There is lots of opportunity from what you're saying.
Yes.
In terms of quantifying, because when you're doing your strategic plan and you're doing your research, were you able to quantify the difference between or 50% less production that we are not taking advantage of, and actually what we could garner in terms of foreign exchange? What is the revenue that we're missing out on? Are you able to quantify that to say if we were to be producing for the local market, we would generate X million, and if we were to export even to
Mexico,
Chetumal or Melchor or to Jamaica, we would be then garnering another 1 billion. Have we been able to quantify what we've been missing, the opportunity cost of not taking advantage of the opportunities that we have?
That is the economics question. That's,
Yeah.
that question has actually been raised. The figures, we don't have them, but we can make some
Educated
references.
guess.
Yeah.
Right. For example, in the 80s, 1986, there were 5 cooperatives, 10,000 hives, producing 700,000 pounds of honey per year.
Per year.
Now, if you take and you multiply that by, say, 3, that is over $2 million, is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think my maths.
Back
Today, it's 135 beekeepers producing 113,000 pounds of honey. 113,000 pounds of honey times 3 gives you a little about $300,000. So compare that to that, and the opportunities for value addition, etc., is so high. So you can see from there some kind of inference that the opportunity, the economic opportunity, is there. No?
Has the technology changed between the 1980s and now? I was watching a documentary in terms of you can set it up in your house. I saw a Canadian YouTube video of people being encouraged to do it in their house, and you buy this little kit, you put it up, and there's a valve, and after a while you just turn it on and it comes on. Has the technology changed, which would actually enhance and increase the production?
There we
Make
would
it
have-
easier.
There we would have to go into the type of bees that you're actually raising. Africanized bees have to be out in the field. And then the other type, which is called the melapona,
Yes.
which is actually the
Stingless.
stingless bees, you can actually have them at your home.
Yeah, but I think
Yes.
genetic has to do a lot
Yes.
as well, no? Because Africanized bees, if you left bees just like that and not doing genetic improvement, then you reach to a degree that you cannot manage your bees, get too defensive. So at some point you have to do genetic improvement, no? So that is where productivity falls in. So
Is it dangerous? Is it dangerous to?
To
Because you guys keep on talking about defensive, and it just
Africanized bees.
Africanized bees to me, it's like saying,
No,
beautiful, ugly. It just
no,
And we've had cases where people have died from bee attacks. So I think that probably builds a fear in
a
moving
fear.
into the industry.
And I think part of the strategy is actually to create public awareness
Yes.
as to understand the nature of the bees and how it actually works, no? And that's why I keep insisting on training.
Yeah.
Public
That makes
awareness,
sense.
actually, yes. Yes.
So who's the current global major producer of honey?
I think China.
China.
China is one of the
Wow.
world producer of honey.
And you really feel, based on your market research, because that's what I'm hearing from you, you put your strategic plan together, you're going to be launching it, you're getting current beekeepers and others who are interested in the market, that you feel that this is a viable opportunity for us to move into a greater industry.
Absolutely. What we offer as a country is a quality, wholesome product. We have the highest competitor, which is China, but a lot of their product is questionable. And that is where we are able to tap into a niche market, where
Yeah.
we're able to get much better prices for our product.
Yeah.
And it is not only about the honey that is being produced, but there is also a lot of room in value addition. As Mr. Thompson mentioned, there are cosmetics that can be developed. There's candles that can be
Yeah.
made out of wax. There's so many other products that can be created out of beekeeping byproducts.
Wow. So when does this symposium take place?
So the symposium is this Friday, tomorrow.
Okay.
And it's taking place at Salon Isabel in Maracas, Orange Walk.
Okay.
And then we have an expo on Saturday, and the expo is taking place at La Immaculada Credit Union parking lot
Okay. In Orange Walk.
in Orange Walk as well. Yes.
All right. And if people are interested, somebody's watching, an investor who says, you know what, let me see how I can get in on this. Who do they contact?
So if anyone is interested in participating in the symposium, we ask them to register, and they can register through any of the agricultural stations and their offices in the districts, and they can also come to Maracas and register there as well for the event.
All right. Well, you've definitely piqued our interest on the sweet opportunities in honey, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there a cost to attending the?
Yes, the registration fee is a whopping $10.
Wow. Breaking the bank.
And there we put a small fee because we're trying to encourage people to realize that this is actually a business,
Yeah.
and that people have to take ownership of this.
Absolutely.
At this point in time, the government is the one that is promoting it, but we hope that the private sector is able to take it on, you know, and move it forward.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and telling us all about it.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to representatives of Pandemonium about their upcoming Christmas concert, so stay tuned.